propaganda is a part of the women's liberation movement, and we can't manage without it at this stage.
This meeting is the first of its kind. It's very important for women to get a feeling of being able to talk to each other.
I think it's smashing.
Yeah, I think right about it.
I think it went terribly well. It was a very good discussion. I understood exactly why they didn't want the press there. It is obviously going to be reported as a jokey thing, and as they say, that's really part of the thing that they're fighting. Very understandably. I mean, I feel it myself.
The reason I'm here is to talk to individuals. It's a very good feeling that so many women are concerned, and they seem to be thinking quite hard about their problem and hopeful, very hopeful, of some sort of progress towards a concerted political movement for women. I came here with some skepticism, which is obviously partly instilled by being a woman in a man's world and so on.
Oxford, February the 28th, 1970. 560 women arrived for a conference on women's liberation. Only 300 at the most had been expected. It was the first national meeting of women, groups and individuals who'd been forming the women's liberation movement around Britain during the previous year. The movement had already received more publicity than any campaign since that of the suffragettes. Perhaps because while there had been individual struggles in the intervening 50 years, none had struck the imagination as strongly. The demands of these women aren't simple ones soluble by a quick bill through Parliament. They require radical change, a complete transformation of society. They met to define the oppression they're fighting, not to plead for concessions, but to demand rights. Here, within the walls of the Oxford University Union, the conference topics ranged from the politics of housework to women in prison, women in the third world to women in trade unions. There were large sessions and smaller group discussions, some of these only for women, though most were open to the men. There was a crèche for young children organised and run by the fathers, so that all the women could be free to attend their conference.
The kinds of separation which seem to have produced dramatic effects in normal infants have been those which caused a break in the continuity of the child's physical and emotional experience. Margaret Mead has been an outspoken critic of Bowlby's maternal deprivation theory. At present, she wrote, the specific biological situation of the continuing relationship of the child to its biological mother and its need for care by human beings are being hopelessly confused in the growing insistence that child and biological mother must never be separated. This is a new and subtle form of anti-feminism in which men, under the guise of exalting the importance of maternity, are typing women more tightly to their children than has been thought necessary since the invention of bottle feeding and baby carriages. Cross-cultural studies suggest that adjustment is most facilitated if the child is cared for by many warm, friendly people, end quote. The evidence today suggests that the following factors are important for child development: consistent care, sensitivity of the adult in responding to the infant's needs, a stable environment, the characteristics of which the growing infant can learn to identify, continuity of experience within the infant's environment, and physical and intellectual stimulation, love and affection.
I'll ask you out. What's it been like?
Well, hard work, I suppose. You can't deny that.
Was it difficult to set up and organise and run?
Not all that difficult to set up, no. It did require quite a lot of hard work.
What preparation did you do, in fact?
Well, a group of 4 or 5 of us met twice and sort of split the jobs up between us then.
Yeah. How did you decide, which were the jobs that had to be done?
Just by drawing up a list and trying to think our way through it as to what we'd need.
It's gone remarkably well today. We've had no serious problems, except one or two very young children. They're the only ones that miss their parents, I think.
Yeah, the only problems have been through things that were unavoidable, like that the kids hardly know one another, and so there isn't that much relationship between them. And so, things can get a bit fraught, but nothing really got very fraught today at all.
To ask the obvious question, I think, would you consider doing this on a more permanent basis?
No.
What we should be urging are community care centres where both men and women are working, where the parents take a very active part in it, so that for part of each day the child has their own parents there. Therefore the child gets the continuous care, both of its own parents and other loving adults. I think the children are better reared in mixed age groups, which is a much more natural sort of environment. I would like to emphasise that no one has ever done any research into father deprivation, and it's about time we had some research done into what happens when children are parted from their fathers for a long time.
Joe O'Brien, we have got to struggle for our liberation and the liberation of men and women and children. But we've also, as parents, got to struggle for the liberation of our children from us. This is very, very important, because in our society, children are possessions. As long as we don't beat them, we can do anything else to them. We can walk them, repress them, suffocate them. And there is no callback at all. We have got through our struggle to liberate a whole new generation of people. And we must begin by understanding that those people that we are rearing are individuals who are free from us and our ideas of ourselves and them. In women's liberation, we are calling for the liberation of our children. We must liberate our children from us.
What's it? How to do?
I do it all by myself.
Yes.
But why don't yeah! Where was it?
Hey, beating your sister up again. Look. Oh, you're going to beating your sister up again.
Hey, hey.
I get it right.
Hey, I know you. I know you. I know you. I've met you before.
Well, what?
What are you doing? Are you going to draw something? Hey, what are you going to make? You going to draw something for your daddy?
She has got it, Daddy.
This society is not going to give proper facilities for the rearing of children and making it from an individual responsibility to a social responsibility. Therefore, it is necessary for the overthrow of the system of exploitation and its replacement by a socialist system. But this doesn't mean that we don't struggle for things today. We can crash at this, we can win certain demands, but these will only be small demands and in fact isolated compared to the total reorganization of society.
Got that? That's for... I've got a friend called that, who's a big boy.
Diane Langford, Women's Equal Rights Campaign. How can there be an egalitarian society unless women are involved in society fully? When we talk about women getting involved in society and taking full part in political life, this is how to get liberation, not by going off, isolating yourself from society, sitting alone with other women, contemplating your vaginas, but to get involved in political activity. This is the way to do it. We should have the modesty to learn.
Mrs. Walsh, Committee of Civil Rights for Women and Children of Broken Families. I don't want to take up a lot of time because I'm so uncertain. I don't think that there's been a lot of time and a lot of study yet on the question of a different sort of organisation of the family. I think the way to look at this is that scientific development could go along with nature. I myself, I've had 4 children, and I like my children, and I enjoyed having my children, and I loved them. But I got bad-tempered and irritable and tired that I couldn't carry out my own development. I couldn't develop myself, my mind. I was stifled in another way, you see, because I couldn't do and bring out the things that was in me. And of course I have missed a lot in life, because I have had 4 children.
Anne Ferguson, the desire to have a child is something that is fostered by the society in which you live. Is there such a thing as a maternal instinct before you have your baby? Must women, like myself, who have no particular desire to have children because I don't find them interesting, must we regard ourselves as freaks? Thank you.
My name's Jo Kinane.
I'm rather worried about this idea that someone's going to send me out to work again, because after working for 7 years, I'm thrilled pink to be staying home looking after a baby, whom I enjoy very much. And I think one thing we want to fight for is the right for those women who choose to be able to stay at home and bring up their children and not be economically dependent upon a man. I would like to see community living much more personally. I would like to do it myself, because one of the big problems in being the mother that stays at home looking after your children is that you can become isolated from other people, particularly when the child is very young.
The unexpectedly large numbers at the conference prevented much interaction during the presentation of papers and question time. But in the evening, there were smaller workshops where people could talk intimately and in greater depth.
A bit earlier.
7 o'clock.
Okay, so,
Okay.
Hey, Sam, what's the matter?
There are other people who are actually attempting community living. I mean, unofficially, houses get taken over, get turned into communes. Villages are being built. Now, the reason these villages are not working is because people themselves are not involved, don't say what they want, and they're administered by the people who build them and sell them off. And there is no pressure from the people who are going to live in them. People are not given the chance to discuss possibilities. The only way to do it is by groups of individuals, putting pressures on local authorities to form housing associations, to do it through existing institutions and transform them that way, as well as pressuring things from, from outside.
But don't we see
these things exist?
Don't we see from the reports on the kibbutzim, I mean, I don't know that much about it, but those I have read seem to confirm that, once again, that it is impossible to assume that we can make the emotional changes necessary to contemplate, a way of living under a socialist or, a different, a revolutionary situation and the development from that situation.
Can I hear the kibbutz at least once a week put up as an argument in support of the nuclear family?
Sure.
They're not an example of anything, and they were based on very bourgeois notions of work and non-work, and based on very old-fashioned ideas of what a mother was. She was someone who produced children like objects, put them in a creche, and then went off to produce yet other objects. How she was supposed to differentiate between what she was producing at the various times is beyond me. And I don't think we're talking about that kind of commune.
We're 450 women here. If we were democratic and gave them a whole time, each one of them, to put their individual problem, 2 days would not be enough.
Any individual problem is emblematic of,
Yes, but it can be related to general problem rather than starting from an individual problem and made into a general problem.
Is it not our
Surely we can
work
identify
without knowing yourself?
Of course, you always start from your experience if it's going to be a real thing, and then you see the social translation.
But you identify yourself. You don't know yourself without being able to identify
Their experiences in factories, haven't they?
Mistresses and as lovers, and these are all political contexts which, given a new society, you might
find themselves with different stages at which their development is. That's the point. To lower a standard of any gathering to suit the law denominator is no good.
Life is the lowest common denominator. Well, what are you doing at a Women's Liberation Conference then?
We're never going to get anywhere. It would have been better if a man had suggested at that meeting, because when it was suggested by a woman, it was talk about, you want to talk about private things again. And if it's pushed to its extreme, it will be private. But if it's kept as the only way we can keep ourselves from getting airy-fairy and ethereal and talking about isms and ites and eights and all the rest of it, we just get completely lost. I don't feel a person if I just talk... I mean, I know capitalism exists, but if I only talk about capitalism and not about us, who are exploited, we'll never get anywhere.
And maybe these ideas are the ones that we should be that question, what does... Why not? Because the concept of wife is a social concept. If the concept of husband presupposes a whole philosophy, of a whole way of life that we haven't even discussed yet.
On March the 6th, 1971, the Women's Liberation Movement marched through the streets of London, along Oxford Street to Trafalgar Square. 3,000 people sang, danced and chanted. There had been other smaller activities in between, but apart from some spectacular exceptions, like the disruption of the 1970 Miss World Beauty Contest and the subsequent trial of 5 women, most activity had been inward-looking. The demonstration was organised around 4 specific demands: free 24-hour childcare centres, equal education and job opportunities, equal pay, and free contraception and abortion on demand. They were simply the lowest common denominator, a coalescing of practical minimum aims.
The first reason that I'm on the march is to see some other women who have been active and that we know nothing about, because nobody tells us about women in this country who are organizing, and we wanted to come together and look at each other. And the second thing is to let the public know who we are and what we stand for, and to overcome some of the bra-burning impression that has been spread about us.
On a windy day below freezing, the mood of the marchers was exuberant.
Marion is polishing the floor. Katie's cleaning up a little robin ship. And the angry man is banging on the door. Hey, oh, la vida, but no, what goes on?
I think everybody should be liberated. Why just women, you know? I mean, but why not women? I mean, why not children too, you know?
How can they be liberated?
I think they've got to liberate themselves. Because I'm not going to do it for them.
Until women are free, men won't be. When a man knows that his wife is economically independent, he can stand up for many more rights than he otherwise would be able to do. I'm quite content, and I think most of the women I know are quite content with the sex that they are. It's the circumstances in which those sexes are set that are wrong. But I'm all for variety, and the more variety the better, and women are infinitely various.
Do you think we can achieve the things we're marching for?
I'm sure you will. You won't necessarily achieve it through this movement. This movement will grow and it'll wax and wane, but I'm sure it's one step on the way. And I must say I'm delighted to see them, and it's a wonderful turnout. I never believed that you would have got this. I think it's marvelous, especially in weather like this.
What do you think about women's liberation?
Oh, I think the men get all the fun, not the women, do they?
Why do you reckon that is?
I don't know, really. I don't really know, you know what I mean? I don't really think about things like that.
Would you like to have been a woman yourself?
I'm a girl.
Are you?
I said, would I be a woman myself?
If people were involved in, say, trade union activity, then they'd have a real reason not to spend time picking out slippers or dusting the carpets of a man.
Equal pay!
I mean, some men have still got the idea of the Victorian era, like, you know what I mean, where they come home drunk and bash you about, you're only there so you're only good enough to have children and get married. Well, this is all changing over the years. I mean, this shouldn't be so. You should be able to, you should be allowed, like, you know what I mean, to have your own feelings, to have your own life, not be dominated by men all the time. I mean, it's ridiculous, because half the men of this world are wrong in any bloody case, you know what I mean?
Well, I think that the process of everybody's becoming more liberated and looking for their own freedom is very important. I think the idea that the conflict is between men and women, I first was very sympathetic to that, but now I'm not so sure. Men are pretty repressed too.
Class war, not sex war! 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 What do we want? Equal pay! What do we want? Nurseries now! What do we want? Equal education! What do we want? No discrimination! What do we want? No
Well, what do you think of women's liberation?
Well, I don't think it's going to get them far.
Why?
Well, do you think we're going to get them far?
Do you think women are equal?
Yes and no. Yes and no.
Keep young and beautiful. It's your duty to be beautiful. Keep young and beautiful if you want to be loved. Don't fail to do your stuff with a little powder and a puff. Keep young and beautiful if you want to be loved. If you're wise, exercise all that fat off. Take it off of here, off of there. When you're seen anywhere with your hat off, have a Marcel wave in your hair. Take care of all those charms, and you'll always be in someone's arms.
We thought that the words of the song were so blatant that no one could fail to see that it was ironic.
We didn't think of it as a play. We were just dancing down the street, and it was just a way of being on the demonstration without just marching. I mean, we feel marching is it's aggressive and it's tedious and it means nothing to the people who see it. But dancing, it does mean something. I mean, it provokes emotion in people. We think that to seize people's imagination in some other way, to present them with images rather than with ideas, would probably help them to grasp ideas better.
With the time,
Liberation. We don't know anything about it. Just arrived from Australia 24 hours ago.
We liked this particular song and the idea of singing it as we went down Oxford Street, partly because it's an old song and somebody's mother-in-law was singing it as she washed the dishes. So, all those middle-aged women who are still caught in the trap of buying corsets and having their hair done and buying clothes and trying this and trying that to make themselves more beautiful. If you listen to the words of that song, they are insane. Any woman who actually obeyed what that song told her to do, she's locking herself up. She's putting herself behind lipstick bars.
Well, I think that women's lib shouldn't really be only about equal pay. It should be about the way someone like myself talks to a woman at a party or at home, how I treated my wife, how I treat my sisters, and that kind of very subtle discrimination that's possible even to someone who imagines that he's very liberal.
This is join the march now!
I think marriage is the nicest thing, but it has to be completely rethought out. I'm not unhappy. I'm terribly happy. I'd just like to do something more interesting.
Like what?
I don't really know. Just to be allowed to do what I want to do when I want to do it.
Out of the office, out of the home, out from under, women unite! Out of the office, out of the home, out from under, women unite! Out of the office, out of the home, out from under, women unite! Out of the office, out of the home, out from under, women unite!
Join it! I'm absolutely delighted to see so many people here. If you call that enjoyment, yes.
What do you think we've achieved?
I think you've achieved a fantastic amount for the women of this country. For solidarity, just so that they know that everybody else feels like that and they don't have to be scared any longer.
What do you think will happen next?
Just generally, I think that the women are going to become human beings and start talking again when they've been silent for so many hundreds of years.
By meeting together, in small groups, women have been able to discover and describe their oppression. By publicly affirming their solidarity on a demonstration, they experience their power and begin to conceive that change is possible. Together, these two processes don't change society, but they bring into focus the real problems, and they provide inspiration and confidence for the day-to-day struggle in the life of each woman. Who defines a woman's place?